I have a set.
You have a set?
Thank you.
These are all different?
Yeah.
They're different. So one of them is the one for today, and the other one are two, because I haven't been here in a while, just to give you some context. And I'll walk you through those, just for reference. So the top, the bottom one is the one that we're going to be.
Thank you.
They look the same, but not. Now, if you put that one back. Sorry, it's confusing because the same is like that. You have one, you have one. Pardon? Yeah, we can do this setup. All right, yeah, we're gonna walk through the top one and I'll walk you through, okay? So, and I apologize for you, just that the cover sheet was off. I'm just gonna, I was able to come, so I'm Michael Hall with Studio Crowley Hall Architects. We're the architects for Miss Jan, who is the owner of 44 Frey and 444 and 446 K Street. She and her husband had bought this building years ago. They started their business there. She still owns it. Wants to continue owning it and develop it. The program for it, the first time it came here was in the spring of 2015. We were presented to HPRB at the time, and we were here to talk to you all. To do a residential addition behind renovation of the existing two-story, two-row structures in the front. So the first packet that you have there, which is dated 4/13/15, was that first packet. That was the initial concept design that you all had seen and HPRB had approved, which was to allow for an addition and behind the original building, two buildings, restoring the original two buildings for residential development on the back. In that case, we were proposing a 10-story addition at the rear. The context of that, and restoring the front two for retail on the first floor, and then 10 residential units or so in the back. And I'm just going to walk you through the overall and get you to what I'm here for today. The second packet, the one right underneath that, is the last one we came to, which we did in the fall of 2016, the last HPRB approval that we had gotten, and we had all your all support, was Ms. Jan decided she just wanted to do something more modest. She was working with the neighbors and had come up with a pro forma where the building, we would maintain the 15-foot rear yard setback. Again, have no overlap with the front building, it's worked out with HPRB, but proposed a 5-story residential addition behind and then retail on the first floor with one level of basement space underneath the addition, not underneath the original structure. That brings us to what I'm here for today, which is the drawings underneath there on the third packet underneath there. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast, I was just trying to walk through. So it would be the technical drawings that we're working on in this packet here, the third one. And if you flip to sheet, bear with me, I think it's A19. No, I'm sorry, bear with me. A16, let's go with A16, it's elevation. Yes, I'm sorry. Oh, you need this one here? You guys need this one? That addition. So what we're asking for today, when we're going to see HPRB later this month with staff has written a report in support of our request, is basically go from 5 stories to 6 stories. That worked out better in terms of how the performance for the building was going to work out. Other than that, the program for the building is the same. Residential units, there'll be 6 residential units. Retail on the first floor, it extends out, and then underneath the rear new addition, there'll be 1 story below grade. That's primarily going to be, there's going to be a laundry area, services for fire pump and things like that, and then the basement area back there is for Miss Jan, who grew up in Chinatown back in the day, has a local music group, Chinese music group that she wants to have a space there for, and that's what primarily be held for. That's the lower level in that space. So we're coming to ask for your support for HPRB this month to move from 5 stories to 6 stories for that rear addition. Everything else remaining the same that was in the previous packages. That's basically it. And we met with the zoning committee last Thursday and to sort of go over this and had a little more in-depth conversations about some of the nuances of what's there. And I'll answer whatever questions you all have.
Sure. Commissioner Brown?
based on the fact that this was previously approved by zoning for 10 floors.
That was the original,
Not right.
yeah.
And then it went down to the 5 floors. We felt going back to the 6th floor wouldn't be a issue for us. We suggested that you all have some community meetings to answer any other questions that might be
Yes.
coming forward
Mhm.
as a result of this change.
Correct.
And I think that was all we basically had to do, we offered. So
And
everything
based on
else
that, I
is-
had checked with the general contractor and had
Right.
forwarded to Commissioner Marriott and Commissioner Brown, I think you guys got the email, with correspondence that Eichberg Construction had been doing with the,
HPRB?
no, I'm sorry, the commercial, the Mount Vernon Triangle Commercial,
Community,
Improvement District.
thank you, CID.
Okay.
The CID, they have been, I don't know how many meetings they've had, but they've been spearheading that as well as talking to the neighbors and sort of keeping everybody else up. That was just the latest email along those lines that they were working on. So they've been actively engaged with that, which I didn't know at the time.
Right.
what are they
And
doing
then-
there now? There's fencing up.
Yes, so what they did was we had a demolition permit that was issued, because of the condition of the existing structure, before we did any work, any major work, we needed to stabilize the structure because it was in pretty rough shape because of, not through anybody's fault, just building large buildings next to an unreinforced masonry structure has jostled it quite a bit. And so it was a combination of opening up, we're maintaining all the existing floor structure, roof structure, and we're purposely going through and rebuilding sections of the masonry walls to sort of stabilize the building before we start doing, sheeting and shoring and things like that. So that's the activity that's occurring on site now.
Will they be apartments or condos?
Apartments, they're not gonna be condos. As far as, I'm not aware that they're gonna be doing that. Because she can be owning the building and maintaining ownership of the building for her family.
Is someone, who's paying to build it? Is it?
She's playing with her private money,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
And I think the other issue that came up was the demolition of the back wall. I think you already
Yes.
touched on that.
Right.
And that's under the supervision of HPRB.
Right, and we've been working with them. Once we opened up the building, there were certain sections we identified that we knew we were gonna have to reconstruct. When you face the building from K Street on the right, there's a small areaway with a large bow that had gotten loose from the framing because it wasn't connected mechanically. We knew there were some sections that we were gonna take down and rebuild back. That the repointing wasn't going to work. We still have some sections on the front in that same corner where there's some ladder cracking where the building has pulled away. That's another section we're evaluating now. On that back, when HPRB had approved us to remove the back dogleg section to maintain the it's roughly 40 by 42 structures. That existing brick back there in the center sections, it was very eroded. We were able to take it down to just right around the first floor, but the idea that we're gonna be building that back. We maintain that brick. They've taken the existing brick, evaluate what they have, and then sourced if we need some additional brick that matches age and historic nature, in case we need to get some additional material to rebuild that wall. But the idea is put it back so that now the wall will be stable with the appropriate mortars and things for those older brick, so that when we then start the new construction for the excavation for the rear, the building will now be stable. It's got cross bracing on the inside, you might observe things like that, to make sure that it's strong when we do the new work. Yeah.
Okay, and where does that fall in terms of, the construction planning?
Right. So right now, so that's what we have right now. So this reflects what we have in terms of the main building permit. So we're going back in to request this additional floor. And so once we go through this with you all and then with HPRB later this month, then we'll be going back and taking revisions, any final revisions back in on this permit, with the idea hopefully by the end of the year we'll have this permit released. In the meantime, underneath this permit, we'll be getting the sheeting and shoring permit so that underground and utility work can start while we're getting prepared to start with the main structure probably after the first of the year.
Okay, and I'm thinking like the reconstruction of that wall.
Oh,
Yeah.
in the back? That's what we wanted, that's active work now in terms of wanting to
Okay.
rebuild that back. I had a construction site meeting this morning. The contractor is trying to figure out some staging things. So for example, on 446K, so the right-hand building when you face from K, that's the side where there's more of a standard, it's probably like a 7.5-foot basement in there. That's where a lot of our electrical services and things like that are going in that area. They want to maintain a section off the rear to get in there to do work between the new and the old. And so they're trying to figure out now whether they go ahead and rebuild, for example, the back of 444, keep that open until they get some of that work going and then start rebuilding that portion. I've asked them for a plan on that because they want to get it closed back up within the next month or two is the idea. But part of it has to do with timing of when we do the main permit, the sheeting and shoring permit, and then that utility work and the plumbing lines that'll be coming in the back, so they can have good access into that rear lower level. So I can give another report next month and update you on the status of that.
Yeah.
They want to get the building closed up and stabilized as quickly as possible. That's what they want to do.
Good,
Yeah.
good. Is there any other questions by the commission?
So unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay for the entire zoning planning and transportation committee meeting the other day, so I didn't get a chance to discuss with you at the time. So the CGI renderings that are in the second packet, like
Yeah.
the 3.2, et cetera, that's still the proposed design and finishes for the addition?
That's that's right. So the aesthetics and general approach that way, historic is, we work with HPO, Kimberly out there, and with HPRB, that's what they would have approved. So it's going to be I apologize for not having a 6-story rendering of that 5-story option. That's the 5-story option. So it's going to be 1 story taller than that. I included that just so you could see what the aesthetics were planned to be.
So it's still going to be called the Josephine?
That at the time, that's what it's, although HPRB had questioned, we're going to have to go back to them separately and come back to you again about any signage and stuff that we put on the front of the building. So that's what's conceptually in there, but that was an open issue with HPRB.
So I'm trying to make out, are there louvers on the facade?
Yes, so partly to create some, so if you imagine, and there's some site context photos in the front of those HPRB packages that you guys would have seen previously, is as we describe it, this building, these 2 little historic buildings, the tall buildings next to them, has a little bit of a missing tooth kind of situation. So what we're trying to do by having enough mass of an addition behind is help to fill that in a little bit, but also between that and the flanking addition that comes to the little areaway, which is around 42 inches wide, that creates an entry into the back residential, what keeps we have a front bay for the retail on the front, to help frame the original structures to help sort of make them stronger. So the aesthetic approach that we've worked out and worked out with Historic is to create an addition back there that's quiet, that helps to frame the original buildings, so it helps to give a little more attention to them, be a little bit of a quiet backdrop. But also, and we don't have any sun exposure issues, but there are visual control issues that we want to, so that's an exterior light, a sort of a Venetian screen that would be on the outside, that when you're inside, you can look out and it's kind of invisible from the outside, especially if you're looking down. It creates a little bit of visual screen between the buildings and help with the light in the building. Miss Jan likes to think of it as she describes it as her being Chinese background, a Chinese lantern of sorts. So it has this nice light feel behind that whole historic structure.
Thank you.
People who have apartments that are existing at present, they'll be looking into the side or the back, walk through.
Yeah, it's either across the alley or there's the 15-foot setback, and then there's the building that is the L-shaped building that's down to 450. That's correct.
When you said that they've been working with the neighbors, what neighbors have they been working with?
And I apologize. I had forwarded the email. Whoever I just had that email open.
Well, is
Yeah.
it just the MVT SID?
Yes, that's already now.
When did that
And then
start?
they talked to the adjacent building. I know the owner's rep, Kevin Sadowski's been talking to the 2 adjacent neighbors, especially 450 in terms of ongoing construction activity.
Okay,
I love the neighbor connect, that owner.
all right. In retail space?
Yeah.
There's
I represent 450.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna get, you guys, I'm sure you guys got some
I want to have
questions.
him finishes.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking, I was like, yeah, leave it, it's a
No
good
problem,
part,
no problem. I don't
yeah.
wanna-
Sorry, go ahead.
Retail space. Right now, it's just, we don't have a lease for that. It's just gonna be open square footage down there right now.
Sure, but that's a big concern for the neighborhood,
Mhm.
of what comes in with this retail space.
Right.
So, it'd be important to us, that, Ms. Jan work with the community stakeholders.
Absolutely.
To come up with, the proper retailer and that, for the community.
Yeah, I'm sure, I'll take that back to her. I'm sure she'd be very open to having that conversation. What she's primarily concerned with is maintaining this building in her family, and because she has an interest in the building herself, it's not short-term profits, it's really just come up with long-term solutions that work for the building. So I'm sure she'll be open to that, and we can bring that up in here at the NC and or at the community meetings that the owner's rep and the general contractor are planning to have.
Good, yeah, that'd be important. Do we have representatives from
Yeah,
450K?
no, so Stephen Alley, General Counsel for 450K. So, we're, as we are with most of this, and I know many of the commissioners here, we're we want to develop the neighborhood, we want to support this. We're in full support of all the HPRB recommendations that they had. Our concern was that there's some things that were recommended and approved before that were not adhered to some of those recommendations. So our discussions with the HPRB, they are certainly fully aware of that and their concern. Our concern is that just be monitored carefully about all the things that are going on. Certainly the historical, structural integrity. Our building's large, right next to it, and certainly had some impact on the historical, impact on that building when our building was being built. But our concern is that they just follow the rules. And so that's their concern. So with that, in addition to the recommendations that HPRB has made, the only thing we would ask for is that while it's staff at HPRB is the ones who monitor these things, we would hope that any additional approvals, obviously the 6th floor is going to go to the HPRB for approval, but also anything else would be a full HPRB review on any of these things that are going forward, not just the staff would make a recommendation immediately. It seems like it wasn't going back for full review again, and that would just be our other recommendation, that the final plans as they are approved by HPRB is a full HPRB review. That would be our only other addition to that. Other
Is
than
that customary? I mean, I think everyone, I'm not saying no, but
Yeah.
is that, obviously neighbors want to have their own interests at hand, is that are the things that could potentially come up that would require either a staff sign off or something, typically something that would merit a full review? Because if it doesn't, I don't think that would necessarily be fair to the.
Board generally delegates that to staff.
Well, the problem with that is that because there's been so many back and forth changes, 2015, 2016, they've come to you with a plan now that is different than actually it was in a lot of other areas. There's an ADA issue on the entrance to the residential that still needs to get fixed, which is not an HPRB issue, which will be an HPO issue. But that whole situation is why there's been so many changes, and because there's been some issues about the historical preservation of a certain, brick walls he was talking about, that has come up. It is certainly on Miss Elliott's, has this on her. It's on her radar. All we're saying is if she's going to have to go and give a recommendation back to the full HPRB. They're going to say if they want to see the full plans again. Our recommendation is just asking affirmatively for that step.
So you're in the context of reviewing the 6th floor, you want them to also review these full plans?
The whole
Okay.
project.
And we don't, just so you know, we have no problem with it, because that's the package that we have submitted, so we told
Yeah.
the.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen the final, what you presented today.
I can give you a
It was
copy
enough
before
on
we-
me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, happy, I got actually.
Fantastic, thank you.
Absolutely, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, so we support that, Charlie. And so that package that you have, that full set, that's what Historic has, which has all the floor plans and all that, I'll make sure you get a copy for you. Wonderful.
Okay, great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
We have any other questions and concerns?
Is that it?
So I think we got a few things here I'd like to add to our support. One being asking that we have a full HPRB review of the plans. The second being that and this is obviously unrelated, but I would like to incorporate that Ms. Jan agrees to work with community stakeholders on the retail space, including the MBT SID, the Lyric, and 450K. And
Yep, we're happy
that
to do
we
that.
maintain open discussions for the retail space. Am I missing one? I thought there was, and that it continues to work with HPRB on repairing the
Yes, I've
historic
engaged
back
with Miss Elliott on that in terms of working with that. Invited her to come out to the site so we can show her the condition of the walls that we're dealing with. Contractor had documented the walls when they were doing the taking down of the dog leg, where tops of the wall was starting to come loose, and so it was unstable enough when they put in the cross bracing, and that was causing the issue. But we'll continue to do that and come back with at least email an update or whatever you all need for, as we go forward.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any other concerns by 450K? Or any other stakeholders in the area on K Street? All right, gentlemen, any other concerns? All right, well, with that, I'd like to make a motion that AN 6E support the HPRB application with the caveats that that we request a full review of the new plans by the HPRB, that they work with community stakeholders on selecting a retailer for the first floor, and that they continue to work with HPRB in making repairing the back wall priority. I'll take a second.
Second.
Oh, and that's communicated to HPRB.
Yes.
Seconded by Commissioner Padro. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, guys.
Thank you.
You want these back?
If you don't need them, I will take them back. You guys can keep whatever you need.
Actually, if you don't mind, I'm gonna keep
You
mine.
can keep whatever you need.
Thank you very much.
Take it back, we'll use it for other things. We'll have it.
All right.
Let me help you sort them out.
Do we have any old business that needs to be discussed? Okay. I'll take a motion to approve September's meeting minutes. I'll give it to Commissioner Padro,
I'll second that.
and seconded by Commissioner Jaffe. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. The treasurer's report.
Treasury report ending balance, currently at $51,231.07. I move the ANC 6B, approve the dollar amount provided to the second.
Seconded?
I'll second.
Second, to Commissioner Judd. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Also, I sent this around to you guys earlier, is they're doing the quarterly reports through an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
I'm not confident. I thought I saw something that may be something wrong with either the algorithm or a starting balance. So I think, what you saw, what I sent around is all of what we have for quarter one and quarter two, all the receipts and all the expenditures. And so I think we can vote to approve that. If there is something with the formula, I will settle it with Gottlieb and we could resubmit it.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, let's do them individually.
Okay.
I'll take a motion to approve the quarter one report.
Second, so moved.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wiggins. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and now I'll take one for quarter two of 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wiggins. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent.
Also move to accept invoice presented by Karen Gailey for invoice number 18, ANC 16 number 9 for $250, which includes the minutes and update on the website. Is that right? Second.
So moved.
We'll move second by Commissioner Judd. Moved by Commissioner Wiggins. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. And now, oops, sorry.
Also, Commissioner Wiggins has a receipt, the actual receipt, I think I texted everybody.
Yeah.
This is the actual receipt, if you want to put your eyes on it, outside of an electronic device that I sent last month for the $197 for the PO box that we brought it on.
Perfect. Yep. Any announcements?
Yes, some of those no, but I will be stepping down as commissioner next month. My partner and I are moving to San Francisco
Oh, wow.
in November. So new job opportunities. If you know anyone that wants to rent a beautiful house, we have a house that's up for rent. But I've already notified, unfortunately, the arrangements came up after the ballots were printed, so I'll technically be on the ballot, but I've already withdrawn, so technically someone can run, it's a write-in, but there will likely be a special election in January. So, but this will be my last meeting.
I'm sorry to see you go. We're having a tough time with that seat, huh?
Mhm.
Well, we thank you for your service thus far.
And I've enjoyed
it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that the Commission 6E formally thank Commissioner Jaffe for all his hard work during his time and that he make a happy trip out there in California.
Here, here.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to propose is that in Commissioner Jaffe stepping down as secretary, that Commissioner Brown mentioned he would be willing to take up that role
Well, I'm going.
for the remainder of the year. You're good with that, Commissioner Brown?
So moved.
He's
All
out.
right.
Seconded.
Seconded. All right.
Great.
Oh,
Seconded by Commissioner Judd. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll just be clear, I moved that the ANC 6E nominate and accept Commissioner Brown as the secretary for the commission. And it was seconded by Commissioner Judd, and all in favor, and unanimous vote. Guys, what do you guys wanna do for next, the next meeting? There were some emails going around, I saw some dates, but I wanted to finalize it tonight.
We're not gonna have one next Monday.
Well, no, it's,
Yeah,
we'll probably
It's
should have
election
one.
day.
It's election day, but we can move it.
Why don't we decide on 3 dates, 3 or 4 dates that'll work with us, and then I can, if we don't have it here, we can do it someplace else.
So they can
Do it the following
six,
Tuesday, but
Do we want to wait another week?
Well, I wanna get going, cause like this place books up, and this was obviously the first choice, but if not, we can, there's always alternatives.
All right.
So it looked like the branch manager was giving us some dates. I'm trying to see what they were.
Is that what you sent me earlier today to say
Yeah.
follow up?
Is she here? No, she's not.
I think they want us
And
out
she's
here.
leaving soon.
Yeah, I was gonna run upstairs real quick after this, just to be sure.
I mean, do we want to try to do it the following Tuesday, just so we?
Yeah,
That was my
Consistent?
thought.
Yeah, the following Tuesday would probably be,
That's good for me.
yeah, worst case scenario, we can find another location, but we'll get it up and out, early so that, there's plenty of, warning.
Okay.
Alright,
13th?
the following Tuesday is is it the 13th?
Yeah.
Yep, the 13th, excellent. Is any announcements from the audience? No, Naomi's
I'll
not.
just make,
Oh.
I'll just
Sure,
make one
yeah,
announcement, the fall Shaw Open House event for businesses north of Rhode Island Avenue will take place on Saturday, the 20th of October, from 1 to 5 p.m. Information available at shawmainstreets.org.
Excellent.
8th Street Day has been scheduled to the 13th, I think, of October,
Okay.
11 to 7, providing the weather, good weather.
Kind of bad if it ran out of
Uh,
There were rain that day, didn't there?
Do you think I should move the zoning meeting?
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know, it's up to you guys.
You
I
can
mean,
keep it
I'll keep it there.
You keep it there?
Right.
Okay.
If anybody's gonna submit anything, it should be in anyhow.
Yeah.
Earlier day, okay.
So what's the date, Tony? Thursday?
Well,
the
yeah,
first?
it's not finalized yet, but we're gonna look for the 13th, the following.
No, but for the
Oh,
zoning
oh,
committee.
Hold on.
Tony, what date?
They'll
you
follow
said?
up with you,
It is
Thursday before.
the first.
It would be the first, we're gonna keep it then?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys.
You had, somebody else that wanted to join the zoning committee?
Oh, yeah, I'll be in contact with him.
Okay.
I got confirmation from him, I think, like, either yesterday or the day before, saying that he'd be interested, and I told him it was the first Tuesday, but I'll wait in
Okay,
touch.
good.
All
All
right,
right,
but I'll
thanks.
take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, buddy, good luck.
I'll,
Yeah.
okay, but I'll give you that. I have
Monument.
like the parking stuff and.
What's going on?
Oh, yeah, I still don't have any of
The
that.
Shaw.
You know what time it's now?
Yeah, parking, that's what it's supposed to be on.
Yeah, oh, wait,